Onramp Invest, fire starter for the Spark Network. I mean, what else could I say? Gamestop, 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 right? Is what everyone wants to talk about, what everyone wants to chime in on. And as we've seen, I think as of right now, the stock being down 80% from the highs, we knew that this was coming. I want to dig a little bit deeper here for those that have looked at this from all lenses. And I've kind of sat quiet and watched some of the commentary, Ja Rule included, chiming in on this. It kind of took over all of the roar and pomp and circumstance that was the Bitcoin rally, and captivated markets and captivated everyone from all sides. I think what the most important thing here that I discovered, and I've been talking about this on a lot of different platforms, is the language of money in America is understood and learned by a very select, elite, privileged few, myself included. Those that understand the language of money looked at this totally different than those that do not. The conversations that I've had around GameStop with those that are fluent with money was very different than those that are not. What you saw firsthand was in this country, in regards to money, finance, and Wall Street, all of those things, the class issue in this country was exposed through a simple gaming stock. Those that were fluent in money understood there was no rhyme or reason to why that stock was going the way it was going, parabolic, to the moon, as they say. They also understood that there was money to be made, but they were smart enough to jump on that train and make the money and know when to get off. And then on the other side, you had retail folks, friends and family, dumb money, as they call it, which I don't appreciate that term very much, that were jumping in because they saw an opportunity to ride this to all these fantastic gains, stepping over dollars to pick up pennies, as I like to call it. And then you had folks jumping on saying, hold the line, stay in, do it. Just, we're gonna, all these hedge funds are gonna go out of business. That's not true. You're not gonna just demolish Wall Street off of one stock. Wall Street is going to make money. They eat from every hand. They eat from every angle. You touch finance, they eat from it. But what you saw more importantly with this was people who were uninformed, people who don't speak the language of money, encouraging those who also don't speak the language of money to continue to be ignorant. There's two types of ignorance. Ignorance, I just don't know. Ignorance, I told you, and you ignore me. So what you started to see was a lot of people start to, what about this? How do I buy? Where do I go? This fever of not really understanding why something was happening, but the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Like, this is the only stock in history that have done that. It's the only one that will since. And then you started to see AMC come after it. And look at it, GameStop, AMC, to just make a bit sense of it, these stocks shouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. So what we have here is a situation where we must go back to square one. We have to get people to understand the language of money, what it means to understand markets, what it means to understand investor psychology, what it means to understand how the stock market works, what it means to understand to use an app that gives you access to the stock market and how that app makes money from you, what it means to have options and leverage and margin and all of these things is foreign to people. All they are concerned about is number go up, number go up, number go up more, and how much money can I make? Not even paying attention to short-term taxes versus long-term gains and all these other things. They don't care about that. It's just in the moment, the fever of being part of something where you feel like it's anti-establishment. Meanwhile, Robinhood and all of the other places, more downloads than ever. And all of those trades generate income for those companies. And the shutout is, well, soon as we think that those at the bottom might be learning this language of money, we change the rules of the game. So it's really important here to understand what this exemplified was the class issue in this country. The difference between the haves and the have-nots is not only by what they have access to in the bank, but what they have access to here, what's in their mind. If I know better, I do better. But if I don't know any better, I'm going off of what the herd says, or what the TV puts in front of me, or what I read online. With those that were educated enough to speak the language of a capitalist society, were calm. They knew what was going to happen. I'll buy the ticket, but I know which stop to get off. You don't. You're new here. You're new to this land. You don't speak the language, so you don't know how to read the signs and know when to get off. But you also don't know that this train is going to crash. And when that train crashes, it's going to be because you didn't know when to get off, because you didn't speak the language of money. We have a financial education crisis in this country. The majority of people are walking around financially illiterate in a country where language is equivalent to money and money is equivalent to language. If you speak money, not investing, not savings, if you speak money, all sides of money, you do very well in America. If you don't, you are doomed to a life of scarcity, of scourge, and chasing. So what we need to do is make sure now that we see, well, again, we've drawn the lines on race. Now we know what the class issue is. And I've always said that the class issue was going to be the bigger issue to address here. Now we know those with the access to the information, those with the access to the know-how and the network and all of these things have a distinct advantage over those that do not. And they will chase $500, $5,000 gains and maybe $50,000 gains, but those at the top are making 50 million, 500 million, 5 billion. Now, this isn't to say that I am not a fan of the stock market. We need more people exposed to the stock market. We need young investors in. We need people to, again, burn their tongue on a slice of pizza and blow on it the next time, but stay in, stay engaged. But we also have to give people access, but we also have to give them education. And we have to empower them with tools to make sure that as they start to move down this road or down that proverbial train track, that they learn the language enough to know, ding, this is my stop. This is where I get off. I'm not riding this off the cliff. I'm aware enough to know that this stock has gotten momentum. This investment has gotten momentum and there's a way I can benefit. But I also know that it is a fool's errand to stay a part of this. It is going to end badly. I also would venture to say those that made the most money from that circus last week were those who didn't need it. But it was just an easy way to make money from the gamification of which the stock market has become. Whether you think it's a game, whether you think it's poker, whether you think it's this fundamental machine of people speaking the language of money every day, an efficient market hypothesis and everything else, whatever you think, what you do need to understand is that what we saw is an opportunity in this country right now to make a push nationwide to educate all Americans on what it means to be invested in the language of money, not the stock market, but to speak the language of a capitalist society. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you on the next one. I appreciate it. Let's break.